Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the Infinite Prosperity Podcast. My name is Louisa and I help high achievers, entrepreneurs and coaches lift the lid on life and business so that they can live at their highest value. Each episode we will bring you our favourite founders, CEOs and guest experts to share with you their insights and strategies to expand your wealth consciousness, your spiritual leadership and aligned business strategies. We know that living in alignment with your soul's mission is what fulfills you, and we are here to show you how to achieve this in an energetically aligned way. If you haven't already, be sure to claim your free abundance activation in the Akashic Records. Go to louisahavers.com/gift to unlock your abundance activation today. And if you'd like my support in having aligned success in life and business, then contact me at www.louisahavers.com and let's explore together if it's an aligned match. Get ready to live at your highest value and to expand into your next level of money as you elevate and receive more. You create more for others. Righty ho, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to our amazing episode that we've got in store for you this week. We have the incredible Cheryl Fischer with us. Now, let me introduce Cheryl to you all. Cheryl is a mindset and life coach and host of OMG Teach Me podcast. Love that title. With experience in teaching and corporate training, she is all about breaking concepts down and sharing valuable information. When she started an online business years ago, she was exposed to the power of mindset and the connection between our brains and our health. And now she is on a mission to share those lessons with women around the world. Cheryl is a wife and mum of 2 kids in their 20s, loves to read, loves to walk and ground outside. And you can find her on her porch with a book and a glass of wine most evenings. Oh, I love it, Cheryl. A huge welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
I've been so looking forward to our conversation. Well, let's dive in. I would love to know. We are on the Infinite Prosperity podcast. So, what does prosperity mean to you?
You know, I was thinking about this because it's such a huge word. It could mean so many different things. I think I have to say, prosperity for me is about being able to achieve something that we can feel happy about. And money is energy, right? So money, in that sense of prosperity, is probably going to come along with being able to have achievements in life that really we feel good about. So I think that's how I'm going to define it.
I love it because I find it fascinating because everyone does define it differently. So it's brilliant. I love it. So tell me, I always love to kind of understand people's journey because there is a story behind why we do what we do. So how did you start your business? Give us the lowdown. How did you get to do what you're doing now?
Yes, it's kind of a multi-part story, as I guess we all have those, right? So I have always been in some type of job where I was teaching or training. I just love people and I think I wanted to make a difference and I found that I could do it in that way. But when I hit 40, which is a shocking amount of time ago, actually, I I was teaching in a classroom and I was worried about having to do that for 25 more years with just no break in sight. And there were things I loved about it, but teaching, I mean, shout out to the teachers. Teaching is a really hard job. There's a lot of hard things about it. And so I started a network marketing business at that point on the side because I said, I at least want to have a choice. I want to be able to have a choice if I want to make that choice. And I was feeling trapped. And what happened was I learned so much beyond anything I ever knew about mindset and entrepreneurship and goal setting. And I had been a good student and I thought I knew all the things about basic business, but I realized that there was just this whole world out there that I had never delved into besides just seeing the personal development aisle in the bookstore. You know, I had never walked into it. I had never looked. And so because I started learning all of that, it became a journey towards becoming a mindset coach. And then this year, starting the OMG Teach Me podcast, because I just have this need to share all these things that I've learned that I just think people don't hear about unless we're out there trying to say it. So, yeah.
Love that. I started with a little network marketing business on the side as well to support my transition out of corporate. I love that you did that too. It's such an incredible community, whichever industry people, company people are affiliated with. I just think it is a phenomenal profession to be in. So shout out to all the network marketers as well,
Yeah.
because they get a hard rap sometimes. I don't,
I agree. And one thing I heard about network marketing once that I really loved was someone, I wish I could attribute this to them, but
Mm,
someone said it's like going to get an MBA when you start a network marketing business, but you can have a little bit of earnings alongside because you learn so much that just, especially if it's not coming from an entrepreneurial business already. So, I mean, that's valuable.
it's huge. I think it's a really good gateway to the entrepreneurial world for people. And often people think it's going to be a hell of a lot easier than it is running a business, and certainly in the network marketing world. I think I personally saw that a lot, and I think this is kind of leads into this piece around, we were talking about, is that you went on to become a mindset coach and realizing it's all a little bit more than just learning how to sell or
Yes.
market. How did you realize that it was gonna be more than this? What was going on? What did you decide was gonna make the big difference for you along your journey?
There were lots of things. I would I'm gonna pull out one story
Hmm.
that I remember in particular. I was maybe, I don't know, a year into my network marketing business, and I was still teaching at the time as well. And I can remember it vividly. I was in the kitchen talking to my husband, and he said to me, "If you don't like it, why don't you just stop?" And I went, "But I do like it." And he said, "All you ever do is complain about your business." And I was floored. I had no idea that that's what he was hearing me say all the time. Absolutely no idea. And he said, "All you do is talk about the hard things and the bad things. I don't know why you want to do it." And I went, that's not it at all. And it just made me realize, like, what is going on with my speaking, with my thoughts, that is going down this negative path. Like, I need to figure that out. And of course, that opened the door to just everything about mindset that I learned from there.
It's amazing, isn't it? So were in your mind, were you feeling positive about it, but his experience was that you were complaining about it. So there's a conflict in terms of what was going on internally for you.
For sure. And I would imagine, I mean, I can't remember exactly, but I would imagine my thoughts weren't all positive either. It all comes from our heads somewhere.
Yes, yeah.
But I thought it was normal. I thought it was okay. I didn't really see that there was an issue with what I was doing. And it just was such a light bulb moment where I realized that maybe it's not just how to sell X, Y, and Z and how to make a post. It's, I got to understand what's going on in my head. Otherwise, I'm just going to be kind of always spinning my wheels here. So,
So true. It's so true, because if we don't have our mindset right, we're going to actually make the different decisions in our business based on how our mindset is. And so it does really start with our mindset. And, I always talk about energetics. So the energy that we're holding and um, will then inform whether we're making aligned decisions and taking aligned action and writing the post in a way that's actually going to help us get the results that we want and be able to connect with the people that we want to connect with, and all those wonderful things.
yes, yes.
As you're kind of reflecting back, you talk about the importance of how important mindset is. Does it matter how we speak to each other as well? Because you talked about how you were speaking to your husband.
I would say 100% yes. And this is a topic that I like to talk about because I really kind of recognized as I started to learn the power of thoughts, and I fully agree with everything you said. Thought is what creates our emotion. We're all communicating with each other energetically. I mean, all of that. And so if we're speaking to people in a negative way or we're complaining all the time, that's still coming from thoughts. And oftentimes, if we don't recognize that's how we're communicating, it's coming from subconscious thoughts or beliefs that we hold on to. And all of that affects how we interact with the world. It all matters. And then the sort of secondary piece of that is when we put something into words, our brains remember it even better because now not only have we thought that thing that we've said, we've now heard ourselves say it. And so it's kind of even more cemented into our memory. And that makes it even more powerful. So I I in a school environment, and this is going to be an unfair generalization. So I recognize that off the bat. But in a school environment, there's a lot of hard stuff to deal with. And so teachers often, in my school anyway, we would let off steam with each other by just sort of complaining to each other. And that was a lot
Mm.
of like our lunch conversation, complain, 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 complain. And at a certain point, I realized I didn't exactly know how to have a conversation without complaining. And it can be as simple as, look at the weather today, or it's cold, or my knees hurt, or oh man, I woke up tired. We just talk that way.
Mm, mm.
And I kind of gave myself a challenge to stop doing that and speak differently. And there was a period I really felt like I didn't even know how to have a conversation. I had to really relearn it. So, yes, what we say out loud is really quite powerful.
You know what? As you were reflecting on that, I think one of the things that can feel really difficult is when we become aware of how we're speaking and we want to change it. And then the people that perhaps aren't on that journey themselves are expecting us to have a certain type of conversation, and then we're not wanting to gossip or complain or get, have those types of conversations because actually there is on one level we experience connection and intimacy through our conversations. And so the brain, we're kind of programming our brain to bond with people through sharing traumas and complaining and all that kind of stuff. It can feel really weird when you kind of go, actually, no, I'm just going to try and talk about nice things and talk
Yes.
positively.
Yes, it really I had a weird period where I kind of didn't know how to talk to people. And to be fair, you also make a good point because sometimes we need to talk about the hard things, right? And not just I don't want to imply that we should always gloss over everything
Mm,
and everything
mhm.
is always sunshine. That's not what I'm saying. I think that if we kind of pay attention to how we speak, we can catch ourselves. If it's just complaining to complain, that's what I'm talking
That's it.
about.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a
Yeah.
pattern, isn't it? It becomes a pattern. We just start complaining just because we complain. And then
Yeah.
we're creating with that because we're just kind of adding more energy to it. How do you see this all coming into play then? With like these are big stuff, the big things like health and wellness, because that's health is our wealth, isn't it?
Yes. And this is interesting because the network marketing company that sort of did take me down this path was health and wellness related. And again, even though I already knew that I loved the products, I didn't really know anything about health and wellness, to be fair. So again, these types of businesses can teach us a lot. And one of the things that I started learning was how to live life in a healthier way. And that can be things like, I mean, I've done episodes on my podcast about gut health and about how to add movement into our lives. And, these very basics, how to make healthy meals, very basic how to's. But then we have to also take a step back. And if we don't see ourselves as a healthy or a fit or whatever the goal is person, then no matter what changes we make in our habits of how we eat or how we exercise, we're still going to self sabotage to the point where we're right back where we started. And so all of this that we're talking about, whether it's speaking out loud or it's the way we think, it affects our health and wellness because we sort of have this belief about ourselves. I weigh this amount, or I am good at activities, or I'm not good at activities, or I'm a healthy eater, or I'm not a healthy eater. And until we change those deep beliefs about ourselves and we're able to see where we want to be and believe we can do it, then it's just not going to change.
It's so true. Those the beliefs that we hold, that we just see them reflected back in our environment because we create with them. As you said, I'm not good at those activities. That was really reminding me of those kind of beliefs that we can pick up from when we were at school.
Oh,
And I know that certainly I carried these forward into my adult life of thinking I am rubbish at sports because I was always picked last. Tennis, no one wanted to play tennis with me because I wasn't very good. So I don't blame them. But of course, ultimately, if you're kind of whatever those beliefs are around, I'm not very good at this, then our subconscious is making up other stuff about that.
yes.
And so we kind of create this kind of these layers of beliefs that are all intermingled that we then
Yes,
bring forth into our health and wellness, into our business, into our relationships and all the things.
absolutely. We describe ourselves in our subconscious brains as maybe, I'm not very fit, or I always need to lose 15 pounds or whatever. And so no matter what we do, we're going to still bring ourselves back to that point until we change that piece. And to me, that was the most powerful thing because I was helping people do a reset for like a 30-day period. And they would have great success. And some of them would then keep going and feel so great about themselves and, fit in their clothes better and all of this. And others within the next 30 days were kind of right back where they started. And I was then, trying to puzzle out what is happening. And they hadn't changed how they believe themselves to be. And by the way, I was always picked last for every team too. So I feel that.
We're twins there. And I remember now actually that our network marketing company was the same one.
Mhm.
Yes, I'd remembered that as you were sharing that. It's so true. And I see that a lot actually mirrored across in the coaching world where you can have some people do really, really well in a coaching program and then they step out of the program and they kind of revert back because they haven't ultimately changed their beliefs about who they be and how they're going to show up for
Yeah.
themselves. And it comes to this piece of, I
Yeah.
always say this to my clients, is how we do anything is how we do everything. And so
Mm,
I see the coaching containers, how clients show up with me in the coaching containers, how they're doing life outside. So it's a
right.
beautiful little kind of ecosystem for me to be able to recognize where they might be playing out some of these habits and beliefs in their life, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can get a sense for how people are doing anything from how you're interacting. Absolutely. Yeah.
So true. Now tell me, just to kind of to go onto the podcast for a bit, because this is fantastic. I love podcasts, obviously, because we have
Obviously.
fun. Yeah. But how did you end up hosting your podcast?
So it's been a journey, and maybe COVID has something to do with this, not to say the dreaded pandemic word, but you know, I as I've been learning all these things over the years, I always liked speaking to groups, and I felt like, wow, I'm really kind of amassing this knowledge that I would love to share with people. And I particularly always kind of have a heart for people who, let me think how to describe. This is a very long answer to your question, so rein me back in as needed.
You've
I
got the
I
floor. It's all good, Cheryl.
I always have a heart for people who maybe were really good in school and are really good at following instructions and doing the assignment, if that makes sense,
Hmm.
but maybe not always so good at looking outside the box and just in a more creative way. And that's what I was learning how to do. And so I was always thinking in the back of my mind, well, how could I share these interesting things with people. Would I want to be a speaker? And this is why I say the pandemic affected me, because I think after going through that, I was still thinking, would I want to be a speaker? And I thought, you know what? I don't know if I want to travel around all the time and be speaking. Would I do that some? Of course. I like speaking to groups. That would be fun, but I don't want that to be my main career, always on the road. And so I thought, well, how can I teach and not have to go anywhere and really enjoy it? And I just kind of had this head smacking moment one day. Oh my gosh, I could do a podcast. I listen to podcasts all the time. Why not me? And that's kind of where it started is, well, I have a lot to say and I love to network with people and I love to run my mouth. So why not me?
Oh, I love it. Well, congratulations. That's so exciting. And do you know what? I think that that belief, why not me, is such a powerful belief because we give ourselves permission to do the thing that we really want to do.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I mean, I was a podcast listener. I didn't see myself as the host of a podcast. And so it took a little bit of time for me to say, okay, well, wait a minute. Like I can learn how to do this and I can go and talk and people might want to listen to what I'm saying. That was a bit of a shift in thinking about myself. But I felt just joy thinking about being able to do it. So I said, all right, let's figure it out.
Yes, I love it. I love chatting to people. So it is brilliant, isn't it? And do you know what? I think, and I'm sure you have this as well, is we have so many people email in or message us on, the different platforms saying that they loved listening to, all the people that we interview, or they'll respond about a particular episode. And
Yes.
and and I love it. I love it when people do that because you kind of go, oh, fantastic, get that
Yes.
kind of interaction with our listeners. So do let us know how you're loving the conversation and what's resonating, because I think that's the key thing is that being able to recognize that our listeners are really understanding and we're making a difference. Your podcast
Yes.
is making a difference. People are really being able to kind of feel that connection with you is fantastic. So do you interview people on your podcast or do you teach on your podcast? Because I know people have different formats for their podcast.
I do both. And it comes out to be maybe one episode of me and then a couple of episodes with guests, sort of in a
But
rotation like that. And that has worked really well because I have just all the things I've learned in developing my coaching business and everything. I have a lot of things that I want to talk about. And at the same time, I mean, we're not an expert on everything, right? So
exactly.
and just bringing in people to teach for example exactly what you were just saying about listener reaction. I did an episode recently on sleep and how to sleep better, and she had some great tips that I had a guest on. And then I had someone send me a voice note on Instagram saying, oh my goodness, I tried what she said and the past few nights I haven't been waking up hungry. It's amazing.
Oh,
And
wow.
just, to change that one person's sleep,
Yes.
it was so cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Do you know what? I was WhatsApping with my best friend earlier this morning about sleep, so I'll need to get my hands on that
Yeah.
episode for her. Because sleep is such an important piece, of being able to not only for our wellness and our body's healing, but also being able to kind of show up as our best selves for our businesses. Because I don't function very well if I've not had enough sleep. I know.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and people that I talk to, sleep is a big thing, particularly women going through the menopause. It can knock
Right.
sleep systems,
Right.
out
Right.
the window if you don't have some solutions up your sleeve to sort it out.
Absolutely true. And there's so much that our brains are doing while we're sleeping too, kind of like storing things and cleaning stuff out and all of that. So yeah, it's important.
There's loads going on. Oh, I love this. So I'd love to know, what would you say, just to kind of, bring this all together? There's so much that you've shared. What 3 tips would you say you would want entrepreneurs who are listening to take to heart and walk away with?
I love that you asked this question, and I love some of the things that other guests on your podcast have said as well. So here's what I'll say. Number one, and this was probably one of the things I struggled with as a very kind of analytical person, but number one, give yourself time to daydream or dream a little bit about what you really want and what would really make you happy, and just kind of almost lackadaisically brainstorm that, because you're going to start to realize maybe where to go with things when you give yourself that space. So that's the first one. Number two, I would say trust your instincts. Allow yourself to see your intuition or your gut feeling. And maybe you need to sleep on that occasionally and make sure it's really correct intuition. But we can learn a lot from just recognizing those little nudges in one direction or another, for sure. And then the third one is it's okay to be different. You don't have to do it the way people expect you to. And you kind of mentioned this when we were talking about conversation. You don't have to do what people think you're going to do. You don't have to communicate in the same way. You don't have to build your business in the same way. You can do it how you want to do it. I mean, take advice if you want to, of course, but it's okay to be different.
Oh, I love that. That's so true, because there's a lot I think I certainly see out there in the marketplace where you can buy all these courses and programs, and I'm sure some of them are, amazing. But it kind of can create this, I've got to do it in this way, this cookie
Mhm.
cutter approach. And yes, there can be strategies that work, but being able to apply who you be and how you want to show up for your business is essential.
Yes.
Essential tip that you shared there. I love it.
And I think that came from years ago when I was first learning how to do live video, when video was first a thing and we were being encouraged to go live and it's okay to be messy. I had one video where I completely dropped the camera and it was on the ground and I was laughing, and people were like so excited about that video. I realized, okay, just I need to just be me and it's fine. And that's what people want to see, is a real person. Or maybe if we do the business the way we think we want to do it, maybe there's other people out there who that will resonate with. Just, kind of use the power of you.
Yes, I love it. Use the power of you. There is so much power, isn't there? And I think we dilute our power when we try and kind of hide past pieces of ourselves rather than really allowing ourselves to shine through. Oh,
Yes.
Cheryl, this has just been such a joy. Do tell everybody, like, where can they find you? Which parts of the world on the interwebs are you hanging out? And I know you've got an amazing free gift as well. So please do tell us all the things.
Yes, yes. So I would love to connect with people. I am on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook as OMG Teach Me Podcast. And by the way, the name of that just came from, I'm always saying, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And the idea is, let's kind of learn things we didn't learn in school. So, yes, you can find me OMG Teach Me Podcast at all those main things. And I have a website that kind of gives all the basics on the podcast, and that's onamission.bio/OMG Teach Me. And then the freebie. Yeah. So I created 7 days worth of secrets to living well, I would say. And they're not necessarily what you would expect. Some of them you'll recognize, some of them you might not. And so that's free. And people can sign up at the On a Mission site or at just bit.ly/OMG Teach Me Podcast. So yeah, those are pretty fun.
Oh, thank you so, so much. And we'll make sure all the links are below on the various platforms that we host the show, so that people can come and find you and benefit from your incredible free gift. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for joining us today and for sharing all your wisdom. It's just been an absolute joy.
Well, thank you. This has been really fun.
Ah, thank you so much, Cheryl. And thank you, everybody who's joined us and listened to our episode today. Please do let us know what resonated. Send us a message, tag us on Facebook, on all the different platforms, wherever it is that you're hanging out. Let's connect. And until next time, sending you all lots and lots of love. Thanks for listening to the Infinite Prosperity Podcast. And if you like what you've heard and want to know more, please go to louisahavers.com. We just appreciate you so much. So thank you for listening and hanging out with us. If there's anything that we can do for you, you can email us at louisa@louisahavers.com. Let my team know if you have any ideas for shows that you'd love to hear or topics you want me to talk about. Really looking forward to hearing from you. All right, that is it for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today. Looking forward to connecting with you again. Until next time, namaste.